Thank you for joining us on this solemn day, this Good Friday. Stations are places where people wait when they're going from one place to another. And that's our purpose today, to transport or transform ourselves in faith through each stop, each story, each station. The earliest followers walked the way of Christ. They told the stories to help one another endure through difficult times and through struggles. We sometimes get so lost in trying to understand the details of this Easter and Good Friday story, which is so foreign to us, that we sometimes miss the meaning. Today, as we visit each station of the cross, may each of us find a meaning that speaks to us. May each of us then leave our burdens at the cross so that we may walk away from this day as people who are free in faith.
The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for evidence against Jesus so they could put him to death. But they did not find any. Many testified falsely against him, but their statements did not agree. They all condemned him as worthy of death. Then some began to spit at him. They blindfolded him and struck him with their fists and said, "Prophecy!" And the guards took him and beat him. In our country, we assume the right to a fair trial, a chance to disprove charges. We associate trials with judgment, but also with fairness we have come to expect in Canada. To us, it represents order and process. Jesus is standing before angry people who are yelling and saying mean and hurtful things to him. They scream at him. Some of them tell lies about him, saying he did bad things. Think of a moment about things, for a moment, about things that people have said about you. Times you have been accused of something you haven't done. This station represents the lies that have been told about us. Lies that we have no chance to fairly defend ourselves against. Think of them and leave them here today.
Prisoners condemned to death were required to carry the horizontal bar of the cross to the place of execution, where the vertical bar was a post permanently positioned on the ground. It was a huge, heavy piece of wood. It was a struggle to carry. Think about the burdens we bear, the loads we carry, about the things that happen that are hard. Circumstances or events beyond our control, things that are hard for us to handle, that weigh us down with the burden of them. Leave the load of carrying them here at the cross.
Jesus is so tired as he walks along the road with the heavy cross on his shoulders. Then Jesus falls, and the soldiers yell at him more. Jesus prays, God, help me remember that you are here. Have you ever had a hard time with something? A ladder represents fear. To go up a ladder is a scary thing. You are off the ground and in a perilous place, going somewhere higher. The first fall represents the things that we fear that come true. We almost expect to fall off a ladder, and when we do, we really get hurt. The first fall invites us to leave the things that we feared the most, the ones that came true. Think on them and leave them here.
As Jesus walks slowly with the cross on his shoulders, a woman comes up to him. It's Jesus' mother, Mary. How sad for them to see each other now, even though they both know that God is with them. They can't even say anything to each other because they are heartbroken. We don't know the habits of the ancient world with babies and mothers. In our modern world, you have a baby and they place a bracelet on your wrist with your name, and on the wrist of the child with their name as well. At this point, the child's identity is tied to the mother. Baby boy or girl and mother's name. No identity of their own. Almost instantly, that changes. The child is named, and they go off from there to find their own way. Our ability to protect them and shelter them is gone. This station represents for us the times our children, our parents, our siblings or friends, or anyone we call family, go off on a path that we can't change, one of heartbreak, even death. This station reminds us that even though we cannot change the path someone chooses, we watch and suffer, and they know somehow that we love them. That's all we can do. We stand with Mary at the station, wish things were different, and leaving the rest in God's hands.
Jesus is so tired that the soldiers know he cannot carry the heavy cross by himself. So they look around to find someone who's strong enough to help Jesus carry the cross.
I can help you.
The person's name is Simon. Think about all the times you have helped someone else. Sometimes helping someone can be very difficult for so many different reasons. We all have things that we need to do. When we put them aside and help others, we are walking the walk. Sometimes we may have done something that we thought was very small or unimportant, but that God transformed into something great. At this station, we place our circle of family and friends, and our friendship and the willingness and the opportunity we have to befriend others. Today, may we remember that no act of friendship is ever too small to make a difference.
How very weak, tired, and sad Jesus is now. Even though he keeps trying to walk with the heavy cross, he just can't keep going. The noise from the crowd and from the soldiers makes him feel even worse. Then Jesus falls because he just can't take another step. Did you ever fall when you were just walking along, tripped over something you didn't expect to be there, or tripped over something that wasn't even there, just tripped unexpectedly. This station represents the things that have happened to us that we didn't expect, that we didn't see coming, mistakes that we couldn't have avoided, situations we walked blindly into. The times that we just found ourselves on the ground trying to figure out what on earth just happened, checking for broken bones and scraped knees. We leave those moments of heartache and bruised pride here.
After Jesus gets up, he continues on the road carrying his heavy cross. He passes some women who are crying because they are so sad to see Jesus suffering. But instead of thinking of how badly he feels, Jesus tells the women to stop crying because of him. He tells them instead to take care of others. This station represents the times we have held the light out for someone else. No matter how we ourselves have felt, we have thought about their feelings first, and we have been the light in the darkness.
Jesus is so tired now that it is hard for him to breathe. He has been walking a long time along the dusty road, and he has absolutely no energy left. He just can't go on anymore. This stool represents bad decisions that we have made in haste, in stubbornness, the things that seemed like a good idea at the time, but led to a fall. Like standing on a stool or other improper climbing equipment and reaching too far up or too far out and tumbling down. Predictable mistakes that we went headfirst into anyway. The times we tried but did not succeed. We leave these moments here.
Finally, Jesus reaches the hill that is the end of the road he has to walk. Jesus knows that he will die here. But before he dies, the soldiers will do more to him. They pull off his long robe, and almost all his clothes are taken from him. Jesus stands in front of the crowd with only a small piece of cloth covering part of his body. Have you ever felt like you were standing naked, exposed, that someone had stripped you of your dignity, your covering, a time when you had no protection, all your flaws revealed? This station of the cross is for those times. We've all been there, and Jesus was too.
The soldiers nail Jesus to the cross. The nails on the cross have come to mean many things to people in our tradition. Today, hearing the sound of those nails being pounded in the Word, we hear every word anyone has ever spoken in anger or spite to us. Every mean word, criticism, undeserved insult, angry, hurtful words that people have said to us. These words get nailed to the cross. Let them stay there and never hear them again.
Finally, after the long walk, after falling 3 times, after having the men beat him, after being nailed to the cross and suffering on the cross, Jesus bows his head and dies. Death is final. There's no change to it. We represent the death of Jesus with the darkness, the absence of light. The darkness that the Bible speaks of was not literal, but a figurative understanding of the belief that God was not happy with this moment in time, with this injustice. At this station, may we understand that that same darkness comes into the world whenever injustice is done, when violence is enacted, when children are abused, when bombs are dropped, when people are executed and murdered. The light goes out, and God sees.
Now Jesus' lifeless body is taken down from the cross. No more pain and suffering for Jesus. All the pain is over. How sad Jesus' friends are. They're crying as they hold his body. The station represents the tears that we have cried over someone we have loved and lost. The tears we have cried and cried and cried, and the tears we have kept inside. This station allows our tears to flow in sadness and in grief. Jesus' friends wash his body and they wrap it in a clean sheet. They touch him gently and they put the body in a tomb. When they're finished, they put a very large stone over the entrance so that nobody can go inside. And now there is darkness in the tomb where Jesus' body lies. And all of his friends go home because they are so tired and so very sad. From noon until mid-afternoon, darkness came over the land. About 3 p.m, Jesus cries in a loud voice, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they say, "He's calling for Elijah." Immediately, one of them ran and filled a sponge with wine vinegar and put it on a stick and then offered it to Jesus to drink. Then Jesus cried out again in a loud voice and lowered his head, and he died. And at that moment, the curtain in the temple was torn in two from the top right down to the bottom. It is finished.